Hello everyone, great to be here. And I'd like to talk about Titelverteidiger. Titelverteidiger is a book my colleague Svenja Falk and I have written actually to be released at the Hannover Fair. And that's what we are thinking through, is what is the digital future of the German industry? How can we survive with our B2B industries in a time where the products, the services, the infrastructures of nations actually go digital? And let me start with, is this working? Yes, let me start with the background of our thinking. I had the privilege to be very involved in the Industry 4.0 initiative. And what you see here are the three big reports from Acatech, the three big work streams. And what Germany has started early is in 2011, the thinking, how can you with digital reinvent the manufacturing process? That was at the core of Industry 4.0. But we very quickly recognized that would not be enough. That would be not enough for the German industry to survive, because it's not only about reinventing the manufacturing process, it's about reinventing the product, and it's about reinventing services which come along with the product. And that was a second big research stream. And the third research stream is a natural consequence. If you have an intelligent product which is always connected, if the product is full of software and sensors, you will generate a lot of data. And how can you take advantage of the data? And how can you take advantage of the data and translate that into business model? So that is where we are and in thinking. And with the initiative of Industry 4.0, Germany has created its second digital brand after SAP. It's probably the only digital brand which is available today in the world, in the globe, what Germany is famous for. And if you go out today, what we have achieved after 8 years, very often it looks like this. I think we have made significant progress in the way we drive manufacturing. And if you do that, you gain 1 to 2% productivity every year. And if you do that for 6, 7 years in a row, it's quite impressive. But if you compare what's going on in the world, and I'm not talking about the Silicon Valley here, which has created the hyperscalers. And if you listen to Tim Höttges this morning, it is clear that Europe doesn't have a response to that. But if you go out into the world, we see that the notion of reinventing the product is basically being picked up more in other geographies than actually in our region. And if you take a few examples, on the left bottom, this is SpaceX from Elon Musk. And what Elon Musk has done is that I can reinvent a rocket with digital technologies which beats Ariane 5. And Tom Enders, actually, the CEO of Airbus, said, at the beginning we didn't listen to him, and after a few years, he surprised us by creating new technology which is basically more cost competitive than ours, by adding a lot of digital technologies to the product. You see Sophia from Saudi Arabia, you see people who are trying to reinvent farming, and you see people who are trying to reinvent the doctor and a lot of other things. And what we are seeing today is it's not about the manufacturing only, it's the reinvention of the product is coming to life. And that is something we in our region have to be very, very aware of. This picture was taken, I took the picture at the DLD conference in January. And here sits the CEO of BMW, Krüger, and he says, quite frankly, it's very difficult for us to predict where we go as one of the largest car manufacturers in the world, definitely in Germany, because we need to rethink our product. We need to rethink the way actually the product is fueled, the product is operated, and we need to rethink how we operate and interact with our customers. This is completely new. And he says, I don't know today how many products in which configuration I will sell in a few years from now. 10 years ago, a decade ago, they knew. They knew exactly how much cost they would produce. and they knew exactly to whom they would sell the cars. A little bit left and right, always given. We are adding a complete new area, and that is actually what's happening now in our industry. We have to rethink the product, and if you see, the biggest change to the German auto industry, that's our lead industry in the country, was introduced from outside, not from inside the country. The two change drivers for the car industry are electricity, and we could have done that, but other people thought about how can you create a car which is much less expensive and taking the value out of the product in order to shift the value into service. And the second thing which is changing the car industry is basically adding operating systems, adding software, rethinking the product by giving the car an operating system with over-the-air update capabilities, which allows you to reinvent the product every 4 weeks. And there are some cars out there, Tesla's being one of them, where you surprise the car owner with new functions every morning when he starts the car. And I think that is what we need to prepare for when we think in the terms of Titelverteidiger. How can we reinvent our industries by reinventing the product and then thinking through how do we take market share in that area? And this is a cool example. This is the Ego, or the people mover from Ego, Professor Xu, where he said it's actually quite straightforward to reinvent the product. And what he's doing is basically created from scratch a complete new car manufacturer which builds very affordable cars, out of standard products with two differentiators. And he says the battery is a differentiator, they're all electric. And secondly, he says the software is a differentiator. And what he predicts is, say, if you go into that space, you have to ask yourself the question, what product and service combination, not product, what product and service combination will I sell to my customers? To whom, how many, and when? Who are my ecosystem partners in this sales and manufacturing process? And who are my competitors? And I tell you, if somebody would have said, Professor Xu will build an Ego car line 10 years ago, nobody thought it would have been viable. And now we have the situation, because the product is much more cheaper, it is much more flexible, and actually in terms of software capabilities, it's superior. And this will change our industry, not only in car, this will change our industry in medical, in machinery, in the way we do operate plants, for example, chemical plants, and so on and so forth. And if you look at the prediction of our lead industry, if you look what the market forecasters are saying, the revenue from hardware, the revenue from selling cars as they are in the next 20, 30 years will be a flat, if not a declining business. And if a business doesn't grow anymore, it puts a huge competitive threat on the business. And all the growth will come from software and services. All the growth in the car industry will come from software and services. And that is basically where we have to take now the initiative and think through our lead industries and say, what is actually our future of a product? What are the services we can sell to the product? And what we have learned in Industry 4.0 over the last 7 years, if you just make a product digital, and if you just add a few services on top of the product, the customer is not willing to pay for that. A lot of machinery companies have invested in digital services on the products, and the customers say, that's nice, but I'm paying already for your product. I'm not willing to give you any additional money for that. So what we have learned, what we're learning right now is we have to give a new value promise to the ways the products are operated. If you can make a train smart, and many of them are already smart, if you can put a train on the track and give them a lot of services, that's all cool. But if you can promise a train will be punctual, if you can promise a train will be punctual as a value promise, Deutsche Bahn would pay for that, and many other train operators would pay for that. If you're trying to sell an X-ray machine, that's cool, you get a nice picture out of that. If you sell a service which does analysis of the picture, that's even cooler. But if you sell the promise, you will heal better, you will heal faster, that is differentiating. And again, many would pay for that. And when we have done the exercise in the Architect, you almost can take any product we manufacture in the country. If you rethink the product as an intelligent product, if you rethink that the product will become a platform which will be where services will be added, and if you give a promise against the way the product is operated, against a specific outcome, the clients will pay for that. And that's why we say the German future is about not made in Germany alone anymore, it's about made in Germany and operated in Germany. Now, the difficulty comes then, if you look at all the technologies needed to deliver that promise of operate by Germany, you suddenly recognize, I need an intelligent product. The product has software in there, an operating system which is updated. You need new sensors. You need connectivity. You need embedded software. You need an API framework to connect and communicate with a product. You need a digital twin. All things which most of the mid-sized companies are not making active use of. Or if they make use of in a one-off model, not in a very engineered way, and it is becoming very expensive. Secondly, if you go to smart services, if you want to provision services to your product while it's being operated, what do you need? You need a platform to connect to. You need the ability to collect data, and you need machine learning and artificial intelligence frameworks. You need probably buy data from your competitors to create and configure services. So you need data. You need data spaces where you can access data and pay for data in order to configure it. You need regulation for that, and a lot of additional things. And then when it comes to value operating for outcomes, you clearly need new ecosystem partners. You clearly need the ability to create services with a lot of participation outside of your own core, and you need ways to monetize the services, and you need ways to do the risk management, because such a promise can be very expensive if it fails. And underlying of all of that, you need data architectures, you need new laws to support that, you need basically new tax regimes and a lot of other things. And suddenly you recognize the digital infrastructure for the B2B industries in Germany, but not only in Germany, in Europe, in Japan, South Korea, the B2B infrastructures will need a lot of digital infrastructures which are way beyond the investment capacity of any single company, especially if they are mid-sized companies. And that is the area which is starting. I completely concur with Tim Köttke said. We are moving to an area where individual companies will start to compete on the digital infrastructure which are created in their region or in their nation. And if Europe doesn't have a plan, we may lose the game, not because the one individual company is not strong enough. It is because the digital infrastructure, the one individual company is putting their products and services on, is not existing. Or they have to use infrastructure which are not always following the same business purpose than they do. And what we will see is that the digital twin, the virtual twin of the product in the cloud will become the leading technology for B2B industries, because from the digital twin you can basically reconfigure your whole engineering. You engineer for performance, you engineer for markets, you engineer for specific use, all in a lot size one, and then you sell the products, market the products, and operate the products in the same way. The digital twin in the cloud will change the way, and that is another infrastructure we need to make available to all the companies. What does it look like? Take a look at this video. a nice movie. That is the future of the German industry. What is Vision? It's a digital leader in Germany. 500 people, headquartered in Stuttgart. What are they good at? They are good at data modeling of a physical product. Data modeling of a physical product. And from that data model, they create virtual realities, which you saw here. All the cars you saw are not photoshopped or pictures taken. They all are produced from the digital twin. And the way, and what Vision does, they're part of the Accenture family, so they are colleagues of mine. What we do, they create the whole product design, the whole marketing, down to a lot size 1 for the automotive industries. 90% of the revenue is in the automotive industry. The remaining 10% of the revenue is in Hollywood, Game of Thrones, and many other movies you just saw. And they all do that from data models. That is why we have to understand data much better than today. But not only data from the digital twin, from the product, but data which comes when the product is operated. It's a complete new skill set which will drive the whole value chain of our industries. And while we're going into this, hold on. No, I got confused. Yeah, while we're going in there, into this future of the German industry, we do that in a time where the world is not flat anymore. We are going to an area where we as an export country, which we used to export everything to every country as much as we could, we will see that we are confronted in an area where what I call rise of economic nationalism. There are platform strategies with clear national agendas. There are infrastructures built for industries with clear regional national agendas. There are data usages and data regulations created with clear national agendas. And there's a rise of law and regulation to support and protect industries. And it's mainly driven by the US and China in an area where the GDP, the global growth, is slowing down. That is our new competitive environment. And if you look what we need in Germany and in Europe, not only that we need to master the reinvention of the product, which becomes a digital product, that we need to create the platforms to be with our products when they are operated in the whole world, that we need to find ways to make new promises against operations which create value and new incomes for us. We need to do that on infrastructures which don't exist yet. And in 2025, not in 2030, that is 6 years from now, 7 years from now, we will compete with our products in an area where we will see digital infrastructures for industries, we see data economies for industries, we will see regulatory frameworks for industries, and we will see other geographies creating infrastructures which transfer and scale technology to companies at a much faster pace than we do it. And the question which we need to answer is, does Europe have a plan? At the moment, we don't. I actually support Minister Altmaier that he put the discussion on the table. Do we need to build only large players? No, we don't. But we need to think through what is the future of the German industry on products, on services and value propositions, and what is a digital infrastructure layer which supports the smaller and the medium-sized companies in Germany and Europe. And if you get this one right, it's not going to be a world of G2, US and China, it's going to be a world of G3. Europe will play. We have 6 years to act. Thanks a lot for your attention. And if you want to know more about it, buy the book, Titelverteidiger. How can we digitally lead our economy? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.